Clara was the older sister in a small coastal village. She was about 17 years old, with dark hair that reached her shoulders and bright, caring eyes. She was responsible, always looking out for her little brother Ethan. Clara and Ethan lived in a small house near the sea, where their father Joseph was a fisherman. Clara's mother Barbara took care of the home and made sure everything was in order. Clara had grown up in the village, learning everything about the sea, the fish, and the fishing life. Her father Joseph was proud of their way of life. He would often tell Clara, "Our family has been here for many years. We take care of the sea, and it takes care of us." One sunny afternoon, when Ethan was born, Clara's father called her to his side and made her a promise. "Clara," he said, looking serious, "you are the older sister now. It is your job to take care of Ethan. You must teach him our ways and protect him. He will learn from you." Clara nodded, feeling a weight in her heart. She loved her little brother, and she promised her father that she would always look out for him. From that day on, Clara watched over Ethan closely. Every evening, she would sit with him by the shore, telling him stories about the sea, the fish, and the history of their village. Ethan listened carefully, his eyes wide with excitement, as he dreamed of one day becoming a fisherman like their father. "You will be a great fisherman one day, Ethan," Clara would say, smiling at her little brother, "but you must be patient, and you must always remember the ways of our people." Ethan, though young, looked up to his sister. He believed every word she said. He wanted nothing more than to follow in his father's footsteps and live a simple life in their peaceful village. One day, a young man named Dylan arrived in the village. He was tall, with neat clothes, and carried an air of confidence. Dylan was from the city, a place far away from the quiet fishing village. He was different from everyone in the village, rich, educated, and ambitious. Dylan had plans to change the village forever. He wanted to buy land near the beach and build a large hotel. His dream was to turn the small, peaceful town into a tourist attraction filled with fancy shops and expensive resorts. The villagers were unsure of him at first, but Dylan was charming. He spoke about the city with excitement, painting pictures of luxury and wealth. When Dylan first saw Clara, he was struck by her beauty. Clara was not only beautiful on the outside, but her kind nature and warm smile made her stand out. To Dylan, he admired how she took care of her little brother and how strong she seemed in her role as the older sister. "You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen," Dylan said one day as he met her near the village market. Clara was surprised by his sudden compliment, but she simply smiled politely. "Thank you, but I am just a simple girl from this village," Clara replied, her tone respectful but firm. Dylan didn't give up. He began to spend more time in the village, trying to talk to Clara. He told her about the grand life she could have in the city, big houses, beautiful clothes, and endless excitement. Clara listened but wasn't interested. She loved her life in the village and didn't want to leave. Despite Clara's refusals, Dylan kept trying. He even began to talk to Ethan, giving him little gifts, candies, toys, and stories of adventures in the city. Ethan was curious, his young mind filled with thoughts of what life might be like beyond the village. One evening, as Clara sat by the sea with Ethan, Dylan approached them again. "Why do you stay here, Clara?" Dylan asked with a smile. "The city offers everything you could want: luxury, excitement, and adventure. You don't have to stay here forever. I can take you with me. Clara shook her head. I don't want that, Dylan. This is my home, and I am happy here. Dylan was persistent, but Clara remained firm in her decision. As the days went by, Dylan continued to speak to Ethan. The little boy was growing more and more interested in Dylan's stories. He loved hearing about the big city, the tall buildings, and the exciting life Dylan spoke of. Ethan's innocent heart dreamed of adventure and excitement beyond the peaceful village. One day, Dylan gave Ethan a gift, a small map. This is a map to the city, Dylan said. If you want, you can come with me. I will show you everything the city has to offer. It will be the greatest adventure of your life. Ethan was torn. On one hand, he loved his sister and wanted to follow the path she had shown him, learning about the sea and becoming a fisherman. But on the other hand, Dylan's words were tempting. The thought of adventure, of seeing the world beyond the village, filled Ethan's imagination. That night, as the village fell quiet, Ethan made a decision. He would leave the village and go with Dylan. He told himself it would only be for a short time, just to see the city, and then he would return to his family. Quietly, Ethan packed a small bag and slipped out of the house. He didn't tell Clara. In his heart, he felt a bit guilty, but the excitement of the unknown kept him going. The next morning, when Clara woke up, she found Ethan's bed empty. Her heart sank. She searched the house, calling his name, but there was no sign of him. Panic rose in her chest. She ran to their father, Joseph. "Father, Ethan is gone," she cried. Joseph's face hardened. "He must have gone off to the city. He's been listening to that young man too much." Clara was devastated. She had promised her father that she would protect Ethan, and now she had failed. She blamed herself for not seeing the danger sooner. "I have to find him," Clara said, declaration in her voice. "I have to bring him back." Her father looked at her with a mixture of concern and pride. "Go, Clara. Bring him home safely." With a heavy heart, Clara packed a small bag and set off for the city. It was a long journey, but Clara would not stop. She knew she had to find Ethan and make sure he understood the value of their life in the village. When Clara finally arrived in the city, she was overwhelmed. It was noisy, crowded, and unlike anything she had ever seen. The buildings were tall and shiny, and the streets were filled with people from all over the world. Clara felt lost in the bustling city, unsure of where to go. She asked around, hoping to find Ethan, but no one seemed to know where he was. She spent several days searching, her heart growing heavier with grief with each passing hour. Then, one afternoon, she found him. Ethan was sitting on a bench near a busy street, looking small and scared. When he saw Clara, his face lit up with relief. "Clara," he cried, running to her. "I'm sorry. I thought it would be fun, but it's not. I want to go home." Clara hugged her little brother tightly. "It's okay, Ethan. I'm here now. Let's go home." Ethan looked up at his sister with tears in his eyes. "I missed you, Clara. I want to go back to the village. I don't like it here." Clara smiled gently. "We'll go home, Ethan. Everything will be okay. You don't need all the riches and luxury. What we have in the village is enough." Clara and Ethan returned to their village, the long journey behind them. They were tired, but they were happy to be home. The villagers welcomed them with open arms, relieved to see them safe. Dylan, on the other hand, left the village in disappointment. His plans to turn the village into a modern resort had failed. The villagers had stayed true to their simple ways, and Clara and Ethan had shown that family and tradition were more important than any promise of luxury. As for Ethan, he learned an important lesson. The world outside the village might be full of exciting things, but there was no place like home. He was ready to follow in his father's footsteps, just like Clara had taught him. And so, life in the village returned to normal, peaceful, and simple. Clara and Ethan continued to grow up together, close as ever, knowing that their bond was unbreakable. Clara and Ethan had finally returned to the peaceful village they had always known, but the experience in the city had changed them. Ethan, now more thoughtful, realized that the city's fast pace and loud noise were not what he had imagined. The city had offered excitement, but it had also made him feel small and alone. Ethan sat by the sea one evening, watching the waves crash against the shore, deep in thought. Clara walked over to him and sat beside him. She had noticed the change in her brother. He was quieter now, more serious than before. "I'm sorry, Clara," Ethan said softly. "I should have listened to you. The city wasn't what I thought it would be." Clara smiled gently, placing a hand on his shoulder. "It's okay, Ethan. You didn't know. You were just curious. We all have dreams, but sometimes the best things are already right in front of us. Our village, our family. That's what truly matters." Ethan nodded, his eyes still fixed on the horizon. "I understand now. I don't need the city or the luxury. I have everything I need here." Clara's heart warmed at her brother's words. She had always known that the simple life they led, filled with love and family, was enough, but now Ethan truly understood it too. Weeks passed, and life in the village slowly returned to its quiet, steady rhythm. Clara and Ethan worked alongside their father, learning the ways of the sea and the village life. But one day, a familiar face appeared at the village gate. It was Dylan. Clara was sitting with Ethan by the water when she saw Dylan walking toward them. His confident smile was gone, replaced by a tired, defeated look. He had come back, though not for the reasons Clara expected. "I've learned something, Clara," Dylan said, his voice softer than before. "I was wrong. I thought I could change your village, but I can see now that it's perfect just as it is. I'm sorry for everything." Clara looked at him, her expression serious, but not unkind. "It's too late for apologies, Dylan," she said. "You tried to convince us to change our way of life for your own gain, but the village doesn't need to be changed. What we have here is enough." Dylan hung his head. "I didn't understand that before. I thought wealth and power were everything, but I see now that what matters are family, tradition, and community." "You were right." Clara could see the sincerity in his eyes. "You have a long way to go before you understand what it means to be part of a community, but it's not too late. You can start by learning the ways of the village, and maybe one day you'll see why we value it so much." Ethan, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "I don't think you need to change the village, Dylan. The way we live is good enough. It's what makes us happy." Dylan nodded, smiling weakly. Maybe I can learn that. Maybe I can help in ways that don't involve changing everything." Clara gave him a small nod. "That's a good start. We all have something to learn, Dylan." Dylan left the village once more, but this time with a new understanding. He didn't try to buy the land or build his resort. Instead, he respected the peaceful ways of the village, realizing that not everything in life could be bought or changed. As the seasons changed, Clara, Ethan, and their family continued their daily routines by the sea. Life in the village was not always easy, but it was steady. Clara and Ethan worked hard, learning from their father and mother, who taught them the values of hard work, respect, and love for one another. One afternoon, Joseph took Ethan out on the fishing boat for the first time. Ethan's heart raced with excitement as he climbed aboard, watching his father prepare the nets. Clara stayed behind, helping her mother with chores, but she kept an eye on her brother, proud of the young boy who had grown up so much. As the boat sailed out into the open sea, Ethan felt a sense of peace he had never known before. The wind in his hair, the sound of the waves, and the feel of the boat beneath him reminded him of everything he had learned from his family. This was where he belonged on the sea, alongside his father and sister, continuing the work of generations before him. Back on shore, Clara smiled as she saw the boat sail back. She knew that Ethan had found his place. He had learned that there was more to life than luxury or adventure. The love of family and the traditions of their village were what truly mattered. As time went on, Clara and Ethan continued to grow. Clara, now a young woman, helped her father with the fishing business, while Ethan learned the ropes and began to take on more responsibilities. The village was peaceful and the family was closer than ever. One day, Joseph sat down with Clara and Ethan. "I'm proud of both of you," he said, his voice full of emotion. "You've shown that you understand the importance of family and tradition. You are ready to carry on our way of life." Ethan grinned. "I've learned everything I need to know, Father. I'm ready to help and work alongside you." Clara smiled proudly at her little brother. "We'll always be together, the village, the sea, our family. It's all we need." Their mother Barbara stood nearby, watching them with love in her eyes. "You've grown up so much, both of you," she said softly. "I'm so proud of you." And so, life in the village continued simple and steady, just as it always had been. Clara and Ethan were no longer just children. They were the next generation, ready to carry on the traditions of their ancestors. And through it all, they knew that the most important thing was not what they owned or where they went, but who they were and the love they shared. Years later, Clara and Ethan would both grow into strong, respected members of the village. Clara, with her wisdom and care, became a guide to the younger generations, teaching them the lessons she had learned from her father. Ethan, now a young man, followed in his father's footsteps as a fisherman, working hard and passing on the knowledge he had gained from both his father and sister. The village remained the same, a quiet, peaceful place by the sea, where the people understood the value of family and tradition. And although the world outside was changing, the heart of the village stayed true. Dylan, too, had changed. He returned to the village from time to time, not as a businessman trying to change everything, but as someone who respected the way of life the villagers had fought to protect. He had learned that wealth and luxury were not everything. There was much more to life, things that could not be bought. As Clara and Ethan stood together on the shore one evening, watching the sunset, they knew that the village was their home, and nothing could ever take that away from them.